We arrived at her favorite place by the sea, a small tourist town she had dreamed of visiting ever since before our wedding. At first, everything felt perfect. The warm sun, the salty breeze, the fresh air. It was the kind of vacation I had hoped for. A break to recharge, to create new memories. She laughed a lot, chatted with local vendors. She seemed truly happy. But something changed that day, the day we met him. It happened at the beach bar, just as we were ordering cocktails. He walked in, tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair glowing in the soft light of the setting sun. He looked like someone out of a movie. I noticed her reaction immediately. She went tense. Her eyes locked onto him for just a moment. She froze, embarrassed. Then she pulled herself together, pretending as if nothing had happened. But I had seen it. And from then on, she started spending more and more time with him. At first, I thought it was just friendly small talk. But when we got back to our room and I began unpacking, she suddenly suggested going out for dinner. "I'll just pop down to the bar for a bit," she said. "Just keeping an old friend company. You're not drinking anything tonight?" I asked, smiling. She only nodded and left. A few hours later, I got a message from her. "Don't worry, I'll be back a little later." Something twisted inside me. I looked at my phone, where her photo lit up on the lock screen. Orange light at the bar. And next to her, a man leaning in, his hand resting on her waist. She smiled at him, the kind of smile she hadn't given me in a long time. Her name is Diana. We've been married 7 years. Childhood sweethearts from a small town in the Midwest. I thought I knew everything about her. Her dreams, her fears, the way she bites her lower lip when she's nervous. But that night, in the beach bar, I saw someone I didn't recognize. I stared at that photo longer than I should have. She hadn't sent it to me. I found it by accident, in our cloud album, mixed in with pictures from our first day at the resort. She must have unknowingly synced it from her phone. The timestamp said it was taken just 2 hours ago. My stomach tightened. Even though his face wasn't fully visible, the intimacy between them was clear. The way he leaned in, the way she tilted her head back, laughing. A laugh I hadn't heard from her in months. I poured myself a drink from the minibar, sat out on the balcony, and watched the waves hit the shore. The moon left a silver trail across the water, a road that seemed to lead somewhere else. I wondered if Diana had already taken it, without me. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Just having drinks with a few people at the Marina Club. Not a word about me. I typed and deleted a dozen replies before finally sending. "Have fun. Take care." The blandness of my words disgusted me. But what else could I do? Confront her by text? Demand she come back to the room? None of it felt right. I needed to understand what was really going on. Sleep was impossible. My mind kept imagining them together. And always, the worst. Around 2 a.m., I heard the door open. Diana slipped quietly into the room, trying not to make a sound. The curtains let in only a sliver of light. I watched her as she took off her jewelry, set her phone, screen down, on the nightstand, and disappeared into the bathroom. The shower ran longer than usual. When she finally came to bed, she smelled of hotel soap and mint toothpaste. All traces of the night washed away. She lay on her side, careful not to touch me, assuming I was asleep. "Did you have a nice time?" I asked quietly, though my chest was burning inside. She flinched slightly. "I thought you were asleep," she said. "It was fine. Just some drinks with a few people from the resort." There was a pause, just a second too long. "Anyone interesting?" "Not really. Just tourists like us." I let her lie sit between us like a curtain. Part of me wanted to pull it down, to confront her with what I had seen, what I knew, or thought I knew. But another part, the part that still remembered the girl she once was, held back. My heart, once captured by her fearless laughter and wild dreams, couldn't bear to speak the truth aloud. "Good night, Diana," I said, turning my back to her. "Good night, Mark," she whispered. I wondered if I had imagined that hint of sadness in her voice. The next morning, everything felt forced. Diana suggested we take a boat tour along the coast. She sounded almost convincing in her excitement. I agreed, partly to see if he would be there, and partly because I was still clinging to the fraying edges of our vacation and our marriage. He wasn't on the boat. Diana looked both relieved and, strangely, disappointed. She kept checking her phone, smiling at messages she didn't share. I pretended not to notice. I pointed at dolphins in the distance, took pictures of cliffs and sea caves, tried to act normal. But then everything changed again, this time over lunch. We were sitting in a small cafe by the sea. Diana picked at her salad without much interest. Then her phone buzzed. She read the message, then looked up at me with guilty eyes. "Mark, would you mind if I go to that yoga class this afternoon? The one on the beach I told you about?" But I knew there wasn't any yoga class. I had seen the resort's activity schedule earlier that morning. While she was in the shower, I had studied it, every detail etched in my mind, like evidence in a case I never wanted to build. "Sure," I said, hating myself for allowing the lie, hating that I was letting her deceive me. "I'll probably check out the hotel gym," I added. Her face lit up with relief. "Thanks. It starts at 3, so I should get ready." She kissed me on the cheek, a gesture that once felt intimate, but now felt staged. I watched her walk away, her summer dress swaying in the breeze. And I wondered, who was she going to meet? And what would they do together? I never made it to the gym. Instead, I wandered down to the beach, far from the resort, far from the knowing that my wife was, in that very moment, in another man's arms. The sun burned hot against my skin, but I welcomed the pain. At least it was real, unlike the ache in my chest. I walked until I found a quiet, hidden cove. I sat down on the sand, trying to make sense of everything. Had our marriage been falling apart this whole time, and I just never noticed? We had our problems, who doesn't after 7 years? But nothing that felt impossible to fix. Diana had been quieter lately, more distant, but I chalked it up to stress at work, to the natural highs and lows of long-term relationships. As the afternoon passed, I slowly made my way back to the resort. The whole walk back, I played out different confrontations in my mind, each ending in a different way. Tears, anger, reconciliation. But none of it felt right. When I reached our room, she still wasn't there. I checked the time, 6:15 p.m. Her fake yoga class would have ended hours ago. I showered, changed, and sat out on the balcony with my laptop, pretending to work, waiting for her to come back. She returned just after sunset. Her cheeks were flushed, her hair tousled, maybe from the wind, or maybe from someone's hands. She carried shopping bags, a ready excuse for her absence. After yoga, I did a little shopping therapy, she said without me asking. Then she held up the bags. "How was your day?" "Informative," I said. The words slipped out before I could stop myself. She froze, then turned slowly to face me. "What do you mean?" I closed my laptop. "I think we need to talk, Diana." Her eyes darted around the room. "Anywhere but at me." "Talk about what?" "About the fact that there wasn't any yoga class today. About the photo I found from last night. About the man you were with." The color drained from her face. She sank onto the edge of the bed, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of her lies had finally caught up to her. "How did you find out? Does it matter?" I asked. "What matters is that you lied to me." She nodded, just a small, broken gesture. "I'm sorry, Mark. I never meant for it to go this far." "What exactly do you mean by this far?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "Did you have an affair?" Diana looked at me, tears already streaming down her cheeks. "His name is Julian," she said. "He's a photographer. He's here working on a project about coastal towns. We first met the day we checked in. He asked to take a photo of me for his collection, and I agreed. At first, it was innocent, just conversations about art and travel." She hesitated. "But now it's complicated. Did you sleep with him?" The question burned on my lips. "No," she whispered. "But I wanted to. I still want to. And that's almost worse, isn't it?" Her honesty hit me like a punch to the face. "Why, Diana?" I asked. "What does he give you that I don't?" "It's not a thing he gives me," she said, her voice suddenly firmer. "It's how he makes me feel. Seen. Heard. Like I'm more than just Mark's wife, or the girl from Ohio who never left home." "I see you," I protested. "I always have." "Do you?" she shot back. "When was the last time you asked about my dreams? Not the ones about our house or our life together, my dreams. When was the last time you looked at me like I was someone worth discovering again?" Her words hit hard. Had I really become so complacent? Had I stopped seeing the woman in front of me? and only focused on the role she played in my life? Julian sees parts of me I thought were long gone. Diana said more softly now. The parts that still dream, that still create, that want more. What about our vows? I asked, anger rising in my chest. What about the promise we made to each other? I haven't broken that promise, she replied. But we both knew she had. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. By being with him like this, she had crossed a line. I'm starting to question everything, she continued. What if we married too young? What if there's more out there for both of us? That word, both, hung heavy between us. She was offering me a way out. Or maybe suggesting I find someone too, someone who could bring me back to life. I don't want anyone else, I said. My voice cracked. I just want my wife back. Diana started crying again. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I still know who that is, she said quietly. We talked late into the night, laying bare the cracks in our marriage. Cracks that had been forming slowly, without either of us noticing. She confessed that she had imagined a life with Julian, traveling the world with him, seeing beauty through his camera lens. I confessed that I had taken her for granted, that I had stopped tending to the flame that once brought us together. What now? I asked as the morning light crept through the curtains. We were both emotionally drained. I need to see him again, she said. To say goodbye. To make sure this isn't just some holiday fantasy. Every part of me wanted to scream no. To beg her to stay. To pack our bags and drive home. To hold her close and not let go. But deep down, I knew that would only push her further away. Okay, I said, my throat tight. Then whatever happens next, we face it together. She nodded, relief and gratitude in her eyes. Thank you for not hating me. I couldn't have handled that too. I don't hate you, I said. Not even now. But from now on, I need you to be honest, with me, with yourself. I promise, she whispered. And across the emotional canyon between us, she reached for my hand. The next day was unbearable. After breakfast, Diana left to meet Julian. I wandered the resort like a ghost, haunted by memories of the person I used to be, the man I thought I still was. Eventually, I found myself back at the beach bar where all of this had begun. I ordered the same cocktail she was drinking in that photo. You're Diana's husband, right? The bartender asked as he set the drink in front of me. I nodded, surprised. She's something special, he said, wiping down the counter. She's been spending a lot of time with that photographer. He's showing her his work. Really impressive stuff, honestly. Really? I asked, despite the ache in my chest. Yeah. He's doing a series on people who are searching for something. Portraits of locals, travelers, people trying to escape something. Your wife helps him find subjects sometimes. She even translates Spanish, I think. I blinked, slowly processing what he said. Diana did speak fluent Spanish. One of the many things about her I'd stopped appreciating. She's been translating interviews for him, wives of fishermen down at the harbor, women waiting for their men to return from the sea. Pretty poetic stuff, he said with a shrug. Not really my thing, but she seems really passionate about it. That didn't match the story I had built in my mind. This wasn't just some steamy affair. Translating interviews, helping with a photography project. That's not the stuff that passionate betrayals are made of. I had misunderstood the whole situation. I thanked the bartender and walked away, lost in thought. I started walking, without knowing exactly where I was going. Somehow, I ended up at the harbor. As I got closer, I saw them. Diana and Julian were sitting on a bench, speaking with an older woman. Diana was animated, gesturing as she translated. Her face lit up with joy and focus, full of dedication. I stayed in the background, watching from a distance. There was something undeniable between them. The way they spoke, the occasional glance, a light touch now and then. But it wasn't just flirtation. It looked like work. Real work, focused and creative. They were clearly both invested in the project. It meant something to them. When the interview ended, Diana hugged the older woman, and Julian captured the moment with his camera. Then they sat together, heads tilted close, reviewing the photos. I could have walked over. I could have made my presence known, but something held me back. Instead, I turned around and returned to our room. Diana came back later that afternoon. Her eyes were red, but clear. When she saw me, she stopped, almost unsure of what to say. But then she spoke. I told him I can't see him again, she said. I need to fix what's broken in my marriage before I can fix anything else. Relief washed over me. Was that your decision or his? I asked gently. Mine, she said. Julian made it clear he wanted more. But I realized something today. It wasn't him I was drawn to. It was what he represented. Passion, purpose, freedom. I nodded slowly. Something began to click. The bartender told me about the project. I said. About the interviews. You've been working on something meaningful. Diana looked surprised. You talked to Miguel? He mentioned you translated. That didn't match the story I had built in my head. Diana sat down beside me. It started with just translating. But then I began suggesting locations, helping him find stories. Julian told me I had an eye for framing, for seeing the essence of a moment. She paused. When was the last time someone truly valued my input? The last time I felt like I had something meaningful to contribute? Her question hit me hard, because I already knew the answer. I fell in love, she continued, with how he made me feel, capable, creative, alive. But today, watching him work, I realized I don't need him to feel that way. I need to find that within myself. I looked at her. And what about us? I asked, fearing the answer. Diana looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in years. I don't know yet, she said honestly. But I know this. I won't throw away 7 years without a fight. It wasn't a promise of forever, but it was real. And in that moment, it was enough. We spent our last days at the resort, slowly rediscovering each other. We talked about old dreams. Her desire to return to photography, something she'd left behind after college. My secret wish to try writing, something I'd never admitted to her. We even discussed moving, starting fresh, building a life that inspired both of us, instead of just maintaining one that confined us. On our final evening, we walked the beach together, the same stretch where Julian had first appeared, and where our marriage had almost fallen apart. I want to show you something, Diana said, pulling out her phone. She opened her photos and handed it to me. It was a series of portraits of me watching the sunset, unaware of the camera, me laughing with a street vendor, me at the beach bar. Julian taught me a few techniques, she said. I practiced. As I swiped through the photos, I saw myself, not just through her eyes, but through the lens of someone who thought I was worth noticing. You're beautiful, I said, deeply moved. You're beautiful too, she replied softly. I had forgotten how to see that. We weren't healed yet. There were still wounds that needed time, trust that had to be rebuilt. Yes, Diana had come dangerously close to having an affair. Even if the final line hadn't been crossed, we both knew it had come close. But I had also been part of the slow decline, by taking her for granted, by letting us drift. The next morning, as we packed, Diana received a text. She read it, then showed it to me without hesitation. Your husband's a lucky guy. I hope he knows that. Safe travels. And remember what I said about your talent. The world needs your perspective. Jay, will you answer? I asked. She thought for a moment, then typed. Thank you. For everything. Wishing you all the best. And then she deleted his number. On the flight home, she rested her head on my shoulder. A gesture I hadn't felt in what felt like years. You know what Julian told me yesterday, she said. He said people come to the sea when they're searching for something. What do you think we were looking for, Mark? I thought carefully. Maybe we were looking for ourselves. For the parts we lost along the way. She nodded and closed her eyes. And did you find what you were looking for? She asked. I looked at her. At the woman I almost lost. The woman I was finally beginning to see again. I'm starting to, I said. I'm starting. As the plane carried us home, I knew we were headed into uncertain territory. There were no guarantees. No promise that things would be easy. No quick fix. But as Diana leaned against me, her hand in mine, I didn't hope for a perfect marriage anymore. I knew now that doesn't exist. What I hoped for was an honest marriage. One where we saw each other clearly. Where we never again confused routine with understanding. Where we remembered that love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice you make every single day. And in that moment, we both chose to stay.